Joe Rogan is not hating on Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. Joe Rogan has me wondering if we should all stop hating on it. I mean, if this is going to happen, if they are going to go in there, if we can all admit that the interviews, the buildup, the numbers and excitement around those, where you actually, when you go to the internet and you go looking for Mike Tyson training footage, you're actually hoping that he and Coach Cordero have upped something recently because you do want to see him. You actually stop what you're doing because you know they're at a press conference. Mike comes up to Jake Paul and Jake pushes him ever so soft. And instead of that enraging Mike Tyson, it makes him laugh almost like he had it ahead of time. Then Mike comes in and pushes Jake back and it's ever so soft that it's silly, but there's still something there. And Mike Tyson doesn't have two ways to win. Mike Tyson wouldn't pretend he has two ways to win. Mike Tyson must put this man down. That's interesting to me. I think that's interesting to you, and I can tell you in the age demographic that is Joe Rogan and above, they love it. Coach Steve Ticanter right here in Westland, Oregon. Known him since 1992. He has never invited me over to his house. He lives a mile away from me, and he was my coach. He's never invited me to his house. He has already invited me 3 months in advance to his house to watch that fight. And Steve Ticanter, who won 2 national championships in his own right in the 80s, is now feeling rejuvenated. He's now feeling strong again and powerful and as though the world could belong back to that generation. I mean, this is what Mike Tyson's represented and is far more powerful than I fully understood. I knew there was something there. I also knew if they go and they follow through with this Dallas and Jerry Stadium and this whole bit, they're going to look like fools. It would not matter if it was $10 a ticket or 2 tickets for $10. You ever seen those? You bring a can of soup and a kid gets in free. You could do anything you wanted. 80,000 people do not show up to Dallas Stadium to watch that match. But while that was clearly overshot by them, it still does have a place. Jake Paul going out and doing what he did to Mike Perry. I mean, one thing we know about Mike Perry is he doesn't go down. We're not really sure on the power of Jake Paul. It appears to be great. But there are different people that have taken it and their reaction is to not fall down. One thing unique about Jake Paul, he will knock you out in the first round if he connects, but he will knock you out in the 7th round if he connects. Great boxers don't do that. That can't be said for Canelo Alvarez. That can't be said for Floyd Mayweather. That can't be said for Oscar De La Hoya. That can't be said for Iron Mike Tyson. If you want to be real literal, go look at Mike Tyson's records. Go to 7th round. Not even how the fight turns out. Go to look at the 7th round and see if he put anybody down or out. So it's a unique fight. Now, youth, clearly on the side. Experience, clearly on the side. I don't agree with some people who say, well, Mike has the experience. Why is that? Well, with his amateur career and his pro career, he's done that over 100 times. And Jake Paul has barely done that a dozen times. Like, well, I don't agree with that. Though a court of law probably would. I don't. What have you done for me lately? What have you done more recently? What have you done in this era? What have you done in the last year is far more relevant than what have you done as a body of work since your time on this earth. So Mike Tyson has got to put him down. Is there any reason that we should continue hating on this fight? Now, Joe Rogan does make a statement. He says Mike Tyson, even at 57 years old, will still knock your head into the 3rd row. I don't know what evidence Joe has of that. That seems very lofty. The threat and the belief that it's just one punch and the last thing to go is their power. There is no scientific proof that the last thing to go within a fighter's skill set is his power. There is nothing quantifiable. That is just an expression that is put out. And Joe says that Mike Tyson at 57 years old still has the ability to knock your head off. Based on what evidence? And I ask that very sincerely. If there is a training footage or a video out there, and I don't know who's sparring with Mike. I wanted to. I offered myself to the point that I got calls from both camps, but then we didn't get any further. Just to remind you, I wanted to spar. Whatever happens in the practice room stays in the practice room. You never bring it out. So going right in, we're going to break that deal. I'm going to go and I'm going to spar with Jake. I'm then going to go and spar with Mike. I'm going to come talk to you guys, and I'm going to tell you what my experience was. Now, one of the problems is when Mike heard this, he heard Chael wants to come down and fight me. And that's not what I'm offering. You got 3 or 4 workout partners in there. I become one of them. When it's my turn, I go in, I move with you, I work with you, I do my part to get your lungs going. We're just sparring. I go do the same thing with Jake. But then I want to come talk to you guys about it. I want to tell you what I felt. I want to tell you about the speed of Jake Paul and his movement. I want to tell you about his defense and how hard he was to find, whereas Mike Tyson, on their hand, is right there in front of you, and he's bobbing and weaving. I could find his body, but getting him to the head was a little tougher to do. And his counterattacks, when I went for the head or I went for his body, I want to share these things with you. Coming out and making a claim that at 58 years old, he can still knock your head into the front row. Based on what evidence? I'd like to be that evidence. I would like to offer. I think that's interesting. I'm going to film it. I'm going to own the content. Other than that, I just need a yes from those 2 guys in a day. That's it. I'll do everything else. I do think that Mike Tyson has a shot. I do think that Mike Tyson, on pride alone, and when people are asking why Mike took this fight, there is always an answer, and it's always an answer from somebody who does not know Mike, who has never spoke to Mike, who never got this answer even secondhand from somebody that did speak to Mike. But the answer is the same thing. He's taking the fight for the money. Well, I know Mike well enough, guys. I could blow your mind on opportunities Mike has to make money. Have you ever heard of an appearance fee? I will do an appearance fee. I'll show up somewhere. I'll sign autographs. I've done them for politicians before. I've done them for fighters. I've done them for people with fight wear. There'll be pictures. You hang out. It's a good time. I charge $25,000 and I'm not staying for more than an hour. 1 hour in, thank you all. It was very nice. And I leave. Mike Tyson's, can I put this in perspective for you? I have a show. I am of somewhat relevance. I was put in the Hall of Fame 2 weeks ago. I have a show that airs on ESPN. I have the largest within our space YouTube page out there. Can I tell you what Mike Tyson gets for 1 hour? The exact same thing that I just described. He gets flown in a private jet and he gets $500,000. 1 hour. I'm only sharing that, and that's Mike's business, and that's gross. I told you some. I know it's gross. I'm telling you Mike's numbers. Guys, I don't know anybody else that can get $500,000 for 1 hour, and he's stocked up. By the way, there's certain people, bit stars that you know, that you could bring them in, you could get that money somewhere in the U.S. Mike Tyson's is very different. Mike Tyson in Russia does some of the biggest numbers. Mike Tyson in Saudi Arabia, where I was with him 3 months earlier, gets these crazy numbers. Mike Tyson in Germany. I'm just sharing, like, sometimes you get these guys that are so hot, he could go on one tour where his private jet touches down 3 different times. He's got $1.5 million, and he's only slept 1 time not in his own bed, and nobody tried to punch him. I'm offering you that because it's not about the money. I'm offering you that because Mike Tyson is not going to put his reputation and ego on the line unless he sincerely believes that he can win. Mike Tyson will find a way out of this fight. He's already done it once. He will find a way out of this fight a second time. And make no mistake, he demanded and received a signing bonus. He will keep that bonus. This isn't about the money. That is my only point to you. Joe Rogan says he can still knock somebody's head off. I don't think that Joe has any evidence of that. I think that that's something that Joe just wants to be true because Joe's around that same age range. But Mike Tyson believes he can and is going to beat Paul. He's not getting in there for any other reason. He's getting there because he wants to fight. It's not personal. He's getting there because he wants to show the world. He wants to show that he still got it. He wants to show that power and timing and conditioning, that ability to dig deep, that grit, the hard work and dedication needed prior to that fight is still something that somewhere within him he possesses. And he's willing to risk it in front of the world. And the way he will be talked about and those $500,000 show-up appearances are gone after this fight if it doesn't go his way. I have never seen a boxing match where the A side has risked more ever than what Mike Tyson, the A side, is risking to take on Jake Paul. Can Mike knock his head off or anyone else's? That's a bit lofty. Does he have enough to put him down and beat him? We're going to find out soon, and I encourage you, much like Joe Rogan, get on board with it. Enjoy it. Quit hating on it. Embrace it. We don't actually know what to expect. And for a first time in boxing, first time in a long time, it's a fun spot to be in as a fan.